Hello, and welcome to another episode of In Real Life with Edrina. My name is Edrina. I am the owner and accountant here at Accounting by Edrina, and today's topic is small business taxes with Marjorie, and she is from Marjorie L. McPike, CPA. Marjorie is a CPA focusing on tax and small business accounting located in Riverside County, California. She was born and raised in San Diego and attended San Diego State University with a concentration in accounting. She recently completed her Master of Science in Taxation from Golden Gate University. Prior to working in public accounting, Marjorie worked in the private industry, holding various positions such as controller, business office manager, accounts receivable manager, and full charge bookkeeper. She has a vast knowledge of bookkeeping and accounting skills in various industries, including healthcare, manufacturing, retail, and professional services. Her current areas of focus are estate and gift taxation of individuals, and taxation of business entities. Now, this is the second video in a two-part video series, so make sure you watch the first video. We'll go ahead and link it down below. And if you do have any questions related to anything that we talked about, go ahead and put it in the question box in the comments box below, and then we can take a look at those and respond to those individually. There is a wealth of knowledge in this video, and so just make sure that you have a notepad and paper out so you can start taking notes. I'm so excited about this episode. Now let's get to it.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are some ways that that people can be proactive about their tax return?
Oh my goodness. Of course, knowing what happened in the prior year. So as you're, you filed your tax return for 2021, what did that look like? What can you expect for 2022? One of the big things is, again, understanding what happened, right? So I'm going to kind of go to an individual side.
Mm-hmm.
You get a big refund.
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting a large refund because of a credit? Is it because of you paid too much in taxes? Did you have a lot of deductions? What caused that large refund?
Mm-hmm.
And then is that going to be the same in the next year? Do you need to make any adjustments? Should you have a large refund? It's like if you received a large refund and it's from your withholding, it's like you may want to do something different because you're just giving the IRS your money.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing what happened in the prior year return, and then looking at what's going on in the current year, and if you can make changes. So if you had, like you said, $1,000 in income one month, but $2,000 the next month, and then you jump up to $50,000, it's like, okay, something's going to be different. So do I need to pay more in estimates? Do I need to look at, doing something else, setting up a retirement plan? Is there a large piece of equipment that I need to purchase for my business? Am I in the right entity structure, right? Would me changing from an LLC to an S Corp benefit me in saving taxes? Will I get another $50,000 2 months later? So you have to be looking at your numbers every month, and seeing how you can make adjustments. And someone asked me, like with estimated tax payments, they're like, well, do you pay the same thing all the time? I'm like, no, it's an estimate. And it's like, we have people that they review their estimates on a quarterly basis.
Mm-hmm.
Because their income fluctuates or because something may happen,
Mm-hmm.
so you may have paid in so much last month, but you need to pay in this much more this quarter because of the changes and because of the expectation with the franchise tax board or the IRS,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have to pay in so much. So it's constantly looking at your numbers and having the conversation, right? Don't be afraid to have a conversation with your CPA, your tax professional, right? There may be an additional fee that you have to pay for a mid-year meeting or for quarterly, reviews of your financial statements and your income and your tax return, but make that investment. It's like if paying $500 quarterly, is going to save you $30,000 in taxes, that sounds like a good ROI to me, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's an investment, and that's what you want. And not just that, but you develop a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be able to know that you can trust your tax preparer, your CPA, that you guys, communicate well, that you understand each other, that they know what your goals are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Instead of just a one-time. And tax planning is never in January or February. It always happens, the prior year. Everybody should be tax planning now. The second to the last day of the second quarter of 2022, right?
Okay.
You have 6 months left. She's like, that was a lot, huh? But you have 6 months left of the year. And what can you do? It's like I was just looking at something. um, I had a client that has a big tax bill, and it's like, okay, well, how can we save some money right now in 2022? How can you save money for 2021?
Yeah.
Can they open up a SEP IRA, a simple IRA, or what can they do?
Mhm.
And there's not a lot that you can do after the year ends.
Right.
So if you are making money, it's like, do you need to set up a retirement account? Do you just need to set it up now but not fund it? You know?
Mhm.
So yeah, so many things.
Well, I love how you said explore your options. And that is, I feel like that's kind of like key advice when it comes to tax planning. I feel like one of the things that I like to talk about too is this, and I talk about this a lot on my Instagram, but it's just the tool that the IRS has set up to help you calculate your withholding. And I think a lot of people don't realize that when there is a change, like you said, in your life, like if there's a big life change, let's talk
Mhm,
about like,
mhm.
buying a house or having a child. All of these are actually tax events.
Mhm.
And you're not necessarily held to what you originally put if you're a W-2 employee to
Right.
that withholding at time of employment. You can always come back and revisit that. And so the IRS has this really cool tool that they built out where you can actually go through a series of questions where they can help you establish what your withholding should be as a W-2 employee. So I'll go ahead and put the link below as well. And I think I do have a video on that, and I'll try and find that video too. But
Mhm.
I think that's going to be really helpful, especially if you have a tax event happen within this year. So like right now is the perfect time to be thinking about this kind of stuff
Right.
and to
Mhm.
be implementing changes.
Mhm.
Even if you just, there were a couple other events that I was thinking about, like if you got a promotion, so you got a raise, and now your income is in a whole separate tax
Bracket.
bracket. Thank you. I was like, not category. Thank you, bracket. So you're
Mhm.
in a whole separate tax bracket, which means a whole other things as far as like how much you're going to be taxed, how much that
Mhm.
income is going to be taxed. So
Mhm.
it's always great to not just explore your options, but also engage your tax professional as well
Mhm.
and set up
Mhm.
a meeting with them, make that investment and discuss with them, what are my
Mhm.
options here? I am getting a raise, I'm getting a promotion, I am moving to a different state. Like these are
Mhm.
all tax events that people don't necessarily think about. And I know that goes outside of the business, but I think it affects people individually,
Mhm.
which also has an implication on how your business is going to be run too.
Right. And that it applies to your business as well, because you can be an employee of your business,
Mhm.
you know, and you need to know what your withholding should be, because that's a whole, it all fits together. You have your wages that are going to be coming from your business, and then you have your business income. And so you need to know that. And I think it's important, like you said, the more you do something, the better you become. It's like the more you track and the more you look at something,
Yeah.
the clearer it becomes, and the more it just becomes comfortable,
Yeah.
right? I know for me, it's like I was always playing around with my W-2, you know, and not my W-2, but my W-4. Or
Oh,
like when you get a
yeah.
raise, it's like,
Yeah.
there's a thing called, I want to say Paycheck City, but you can go in there and you can calculate like your net pay based on your gross pay, or what, you can switch around your withholding, you can switch around your 401k percentages, you can do a lot of different things, but the more you play with it, the more you get to learn about it and see how it all affects your tax return and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Definitely. When I was a W-2 employee, I would always change my withholding too based on how much I was putting into my 403b.
Hmm.
So I mean, that is not tax advice. This is not advice for you, but definitely if you're interested in that, talk to your tax professional
Hmm.
and try using one of the tools that we talked about online, and you
Hmm.
can kind of see
Hmm.
for yourself and engage your tax professional with that. Um, there were a couple other questions that I wanted to talk about with you. So the first one was relating to entity type.
Hmm.
So how do you know what is the right entity type for you?
Well, first of all, every business does not fit in the same entity type. So you need to know what works for your business goals, for your income, liabilities play a part in that. Succession planning plays a part in that. But just on a broader basis, keep in mind that sole proprietor, it's going to be on your Schedule C. You're going to pay self-employment tax. An LLC is a disregarded entity. It's treated as a Schedule C. You're going to pay self-employment tax. You can't pay yourself a salary through those entities. An S corporation is a separate entity. The income is passed through to your individual tax return, but you're required to pay yourself a salary. And then a C corporation, of course, is a totally separate entity. The salary requirements are not an issue, but there's the double taxation. I will say that certain businesses cannot be in certain types of entities. I want to say like professional companies, like a CPA has to be like a LP, I believe, or LLP and a corporation. So keep that in mind. And then the other thing that I'd like to share is that LLCs are usually recommended for rental property just because of the appreciation of the property and way that that's taxed. So
yeah,
and that's a discussion that you want to have with your CPA or tax preparer.
Yep, for sure. Definitely echo those sentiments. Definitely get an LLC if you have rental property. So as far as like when you're with clients, I wanted to ask you, what are kind of like the top 3 tax mistakes that small business owners make when you're consulting with clients or in your experience?
The top 3 tax mistakes that they make is not having all the information. That's probably the first one. It's like you don't know where your income is coming from, so you don't have it all pulled together. You don't have all your information for your expenses. You've paid for things out of your personal account, your credit card over there, your business account, and so you're having to pull all this information together. So you're losing out on deductions because you don't have all the information.
That hurts.
Right. The other one I would probably say is not having a conversation soon enough, so they end up having to pay more tax than they should, whether it's for retirement, because they could have done something different, right? So whether it's their salary could have been increased, or they could have paid themselves, had a retirement plan. That would be it. And then not filing, non-compliance is another one. So if you don't file your return, if you form an entity, right? If you have an EIN with the IRS, they're going to be expecting a tax return. You're supposed to form your entity with your state first, right? When you form your entity, the state is expecting for you to file your tax return. If you don't file that return, then you're out of compliance, and then you have penalties. One thing that people forget about in California is, as a single member LLC, you still have to file that Form 568 and pay the $800. So you'll have people that don't do it. They're like, oh, well, I formed an entity, or I started a business, but I didn't make any money, or I had a loss. It's like, even if you have a loss, you still should file the return. Right.
You're still going to owe that money.
Right. They're still looking for the return. So, and then knowing how that loss is going to affect your personal return is big too, because it's not like it's just a loss in your business, like it can reduce your taxable income. So.
Yeah, every year paying that $800, man. Not pretty.
But keep in mind that you still have 2022 and 2023 to form your entity, form your LLC in California, and have that first year $800 waived. So that could be good.
Well, thank you so much for all of that really helpful information. I feel like we've covered a lot of ground. We've gotten in depth with a couple of things, but I wanted to kind of take it a step back and ask you more in terms of kind of like how you work from day to day, and then what are some time management skills that you've learned and grown over the years, and also how you kind of approach self-care during this time of coming out of COVID and still in a little bit of a pandemic.
That's a lot of questions.
I've written them down in case you want me to say them again.
I approach things on a day-to-day basis, in time management, you know, I I work, I have a lot of different things going on,
Yeah.
and not just with my business.
Mhm,
So I have like my clients, and then I have a client that's my client, but that I'm really involved in a lot of different ways.
mhm,
So that takes up a lot of time. And then I have all of my outside activities,
mhm.
um, nonprofit organizations that I belong to, and some of them are for profit. So it's just a matter for me, and what I'm really trying to do is schedule things out, trying to sit down and look at my calendar, and if it's on my calendar I can generally get it done. So trying to put more things on my calendar and not trying to do so many things in my head.
Mhm.
Right. So I've implemented a lot of different systems, like, someone said, hey, I want to talk to you, and it's like, here's the link to my calendar, schedule an appointment.
Mhm.
Right. Because in that way I don't have to stop and do it, and then we go back and forth and all of those different things. So some people may not like all of the text messages and the automations, but it works, right?
Mhm.
And that's what I have to do, is do different things that are going to help me to be
Yeah.
able to focus on the client work, or to meeting with clients, or building the business.
Mhm.
So that's something that I've done, and trying to cut off at a certain time,
Mhm.
which is hard because I work from my home.
Yeah.
So I can sit here, all night and just, do my thing. And like I said, when I get in a groove, I kind of start going. So just trying to work on having some boundaries with my time.
Mhm.
Um, and that's been effective, and just listening to different things. So the calendar and writing things down. And when I tell people to, to write things down and to look at the numbers, it really makes a difference. Even like setting a timer while you're working, especially like on a client, setting a timer, and then you can actually see, hey, I've been working on this for this long, I need to speed it up, or I need to make note of this. So just trying to be, I guess it's more mindfulness of
Mhm.
different things that I'm doing.
Mhm. Yeah.
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 And then as far as self-care, working on that one, because people could say that I'm a workaholic, but I'm not. But just trying to take more time for myself. I think we talked about it. I started playing tennis. It was during COVID. I think it was like August, September of 2020. And that's something that I always talked about doing.
Mhm.
And so I try to get out and play tennis, at least once a week. Um, I started kind of doing some other things. I enjoy reading, so I try to get some pages in a day,
Yeah.
get some reading done, and just hanging out and having fun.
Yeah.
Especially now going into the summer, just enjoying the sunshine, and I love the water. I love
Yeah.
the water.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. Me too. I have a goal of like swimming 4 times each month.
Mm,
I think I reached the goal this month, but
hmm
um, I love tennis too. I think it's so fun. I don't always
hmm
get to play, but it is a fun sport. I like how you mentioned having boundaries with time, and like especially right now for me in the season that I'm in, I feel like I don't have a lot of boundaries with time, and I'm at my desk constantly.
hmm
But I like that you said like having it cut off at the end of each day. I think that's going to be really helpful just to think in terms of like, okay, when is my cutoff?
Right, right. And that's what I'm really trying to do. I have some projects that I'm trying to plow through, but
Mhm.
it's like, okay, if you're going to work from 8 to 6, work from 8 to 6, and then shut it down and go
Yeah.
on and do something different. And then the other thing is not taking messages from clients on the weekend,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
or responding to email on the weekend. It's like if I don't respond to it, then I don't have that interruption. It's like, and you have to have that boundary. It's like it's the summertime.
Mhm.
I'm working. I know during tax season, it's like, okay, I'm working nonstop,
Yeah. Mhm.
up until the deadline. And then you want to send me an email on the weekend of the deadline. It's like, no,
This isn't
answering.
gonna make it in.
I'm available for you guys, but it's like you have to have those boundaries, because you have to have balance, right? You have to be able to take care of you. And it's easy to get involved in a project and just keep working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
hmm So,
Um, yeah, I also don't like to work on the weekends. And I have two clients right now going through audits. And I was like, before we're filming this in June. So before the month of June, I was like, okay, I'm not going to work on the weekend in June. That's what I was thinking. And then I realized that I needed to work on like a Saturday, and then I needed to work the following Saturday. I was like, okay, for July,
Right.
working on the weekends. But I think even still, like one of the ideas that is really like attractive for me is the 4-day work week. So
Yes.
taking Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as my weekend. And so I think I feel like I want to be striving towards that. And so that's going to be something that I'm going to try and implement in July. We'll see how that goes.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
But
And I think I may try that one too. Or
yeah.
like, yeah, the 410s. I,
Mhm.
I worked at a couple companies that did that. I know one was the 410s and one was where we did like a half a day on a Friday. And it's
Yeah.
like, I kind of like to do that as well. And I think you just have to, schedule what you're going to get done and the rest of it, put it on the calendar or know that it's there to get done. But you have to have the cutoffs because you can suffer burnout. And burnout is real. You
Mhm.
know, you can really get burnt out on working too much. And
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely felt like I was starting to burn out like towards the start of June. So we booked a trip mid-June
Mhm.
to just like relax, refresh. And I think that was like so helpful. But then coming back to like a crazy schedule, I feel like it took me like another week just to kind of like, okay, now I feel like I'm getting back into like a routine. um,
I get
well, thank you so much for all the helpful information that you've provided to us in both of these videos. I wanted to ask, like, if there are people out there that are curious about you and learning more from you, or maybe even engaging in a consultation with you, what are some ways or some avenues that they can do that? Like, should they go to your website, or how would they do that?
So you can go to my website. Edrina, I'm sure she'll link it, www.marjorielmcpikecpa.com. I'm also on Instagram. It's at MLMCPA. I'm on Facebook, Marjorie McPike CPA, and also on Twitter as Marjorie McPike. So you can feel free to follow me there, reach out to me. As far as a consultation, um, I do offer like for now, I found that people like to talk.
Mhm.
I have courses as well, but I find that people like to have a conversation, and I encourage it as well. So I am offering a $49 consultation. It's a 30-minute consultation, it's $49. Or you can pick my brain pretty much about anything specific to your situation. I'm offering QuickBooks training for $125 an hour. Again, wanting people to get the good financial foundation and to make intelligent decisions and proactive decisions for taxes, preparing for 2022. And of course, I have courses. But I also have some courses that I've written where it's education on one of the ones that I'll send Edrina a link to. It's called Taxes for Online and E-commerce Businesses, and I talk about different things that you should think about, as the e-commerce, with your business. It does address the different types of entities, and there are some spreadsheets in there. There may be a couple walkthroughs on different things. So just a lot of information. Uh,
Nice. Yeah,
yeah.
that's wonderful. I'm so glad that you have the resources out there that can help small business owners. I think that's going to be really beneficial for them. And this whole conversation, both videos are super beneficial. I think we have a lot of great information in here. So thank you again. And if you guys have any questions on any of the topics that we talked about, go ahead and drop them in the description, in the comments below, and we will be responding to those. Thank you again, Marjorie, and you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you in the next video.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Edrina.